the Storm game, and I think Storm did it twice, and I saw it in another game as well. After the first tackle after the 6 again, a player was not square at marker and given us offside, which isn't a 6 again penalty, it's a kick to touch penalty. Everyone gets reset. So, bit of dark arts coming in there, maybe.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I think that's going to be one of the ways we're going to see it maybe alleviated to an extent. But meh.
And you're also likely to see it with the 7 tackle sets, aren't you? That first tackle, they're going to be all over them because they know that possibly the worst thing that's going to happen is it's just going to be 6 again.
And I don't think they will give them on those first tackles. I just don't think it'll happen. There's no point, is there? Like you say, it doesn't change anything.
It won't change anything, but it'd be interesting to see whether teams really try to clamp down on it. This week was an interesting one because obviously all the players, they're still regaining match fitness, and that without question had an influence on some of these performances and some of the roles that some of the teams got. But on the first viewing of the first 8 games, there's no reason to think that it won't continue to work.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And then the other thing you wanted to sort of say then was referees.
Yeah.
One referee.
Yeah, didn't notice it. Not an issue.
No, and I do think that the Fox coverage added to that because they were very much positive about it. Maybe it would be different if we saw a significant decision that changed the game one way or another. Possibly, because there were some decisions that I think would have been seen different with 2 refs than 1 ref. But we've got Captain's Challenge, which if used appropriately should overcome some of those. And
that worked too.
Someone asked me during the middle of the weekend, how do I feel about Captain's Challenge? And I said, it takes too much time out of the game for the fact that I've not seen one won yet. And then I started to see a couple get won, and I started to think maybe the players actually realise that you can't just fucking throw this away, because a couple of teams really were put in a bad situation by wasting the challenge in the first half and then needing it in a more significant moment in the second half when actually they would have won it if they'd been able to use it still. So maybe they'll learn how to use that, because it's only the 3rd round that we've had that in place.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe they're going to learn and start analysing when we should and shouldn't, like, are we too eager? And you saw some of the better teams, traditionally better teams, not wasting their challenge, whereas you saw some of the traditionally lower ranked teams, more desperate teams, wasting their challenge. So,
I mean, it can be major, can't it? Because I forget, I've seen a lot of games, so I forget which team it was, but there was one challenge where the ball, the referee had given it as a dropout because as in he'd knocked it out of play behind the dead ball line, but actually the opposition had. So it went from a dropout to a 7 tackle set starting at the 20. You know, the difference between those two outcomes is massive, and that's exactly the kind of thing that a challenge is perfect. You know, the outcome, the difference there is really significant. So, but yeah.
Sorry, one
all
ref,
these. But there was definitely something about the touches getting a little bit more involved. There was definitely a couple of more. It felt like there was a bit more communication between them. A couple of decisions were definitely changed based on touch judge kind of feedback, which you'd expect the pocket referee to do in last year. So, but yeah.
Back to this
overall,
game then.
Yes, let's talk about this game. Yeah.
Because obviously Brodie Croft, who probably would have missed round 3 had it not been 2.5 months after round 2, scored an absolutely cracking try, and it looked like it was going to be blow for blow, didn't it, in the opening exchanges? But then the Eels really did get on that roll. So were the Eels as impressive as the scoreline in your eyes?
Well, these two were both unbeaten, weren't they? Both had great early season form, as they would say. But yeah, to me, the Eels look like a cut above. They did have the run of the ball. They had, the reset, 6 agains. They had, a few of those went their way. But yeah, for me, Parramatta looked like the better team out of these two.
it was interesting as well. Parramatta moved the ball around a lot more, I thought, than the Broncos. And the Broncos, obviously, everyone's talked about these young prop forwards or young middle unit forwards that they've got. Flegler, Haas in this game, off Hangawi as well, off the bench. They're the kind of players that have been talked about, as well as Fafita, who missed this game. Whereas with the Eels, the middles were passing it quite a bit, I felt, and it was the edge forwards that were doing so much of the damage. I thought Sean Lane and Ryan Mattison were absolutely outstanding in this game, both of them.
Yeah,
brilliant, and that helped add to them being, because they're not bruising second row forwards, they're not like the unsung hero type tackling machine second row forwards. They are line running, basically slightly bigger centres playing just next to the centre, and they really did do some damage. Which helped the speed of that Eels side really dominate the Broncos and make it too fast for the Broncos to keep on top of.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a case of speed kills. Nice to see a bit of vintage Michael Jennings again. A couple of great bits of classic centre play from him. Good try as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for me, Eels were definitely the scoreline for me wasn't unrepresentative of how dominant they were.
Yeah, I completely agree. I didn't watch the next game, but it was another one-sided game. The Cowboys 36, the Titans 6.
Yep, so Tom Andrews says, looked like Holbrook left his steak in England and has gone to Oz for some fried tripe.
And Lee Whitnell said, had this on with the sound off while working, the Cowboys seemed to find the running game and same play down the left and getting plenty of joy off it. Then mixed it up and by going right to Felton at the end. Thought the Cowboys hooker had a good game along with Tamalolo and Holmes. The Titans had their moments but were their own worst enemies throughout. In terms of their moments, Kelly's try was regarded as one of the tries of the round, Brian Kelly, but it was all Cowboys other than that.
Yeah. Have you seen the Brian Kelly try?
No, I've not. I've just heard it was good.
It was quite audacious. It was a blindside run. He kind of twisted and turned and kind of went back. It was the kind of thing that if it goes wrong, you're berating him for not passing to the open side. But to be fair, he'd spotted that there was a gap there. The Cowboys hadn't covered it, but unfortunately, that was the one bright spot in this one. Holbrook's got a heck of a lot of work to do with the Titans. They look like quite a mess in terms of team. Yeah. Lots and lots to do.
I mean, it tells you what he's got to do when you look at the sort of team sheet, and in the backs everyone was jumped around in the outside backs from where you would normally see them play or where they were even named to start playing, and then you look at some of their forwards and there's people there that I've never heard of. The Fotuaika guy, I don't know, Hipgrave, Whitbread, I've not heard of these guys. Erin Clark, who's she?
Yeah, the trouble was that they weren't getting performances out of their more established names either. Nathan Peets was garbage in this at hooker. Tyrone Peachy just wanted to take out anyone else's head off. Very grabby and wasn't creating anything. And these are the players that they brought in on probably quite reasonable salaries. Bigger names, established players from elsewhere that they rely on to be any kind of competitive team, and right now they're looking like probably one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the league without question.
Yeah, big job for Justin Holbrook. Let's hope he can get it turned around. On to the big derby game though, the Roosters versus the Rabbitohs. It was 28 points to 12 in favour of the Roosters. Tom Burgess with a try in 145 metres though for the Rabbitohs, so he didn't let himself down. Who got in touch?
So Alan Walker says, anyone doubting 0-2 Roosters for the three-peat will have to think again. They were strong all across the park. Bunnies were second best. So much for the commentators saying Cook will be all over the 6 again rule. He never got close. The nearest time was when Radley got him in the Jacobs. Nasty. The champions will have to beat a hard, strong Roosters to win it. Miss the RL, but I'm missing the fish more. Hashtag the beach is closed.
Tom Andrews said, didn't see much of this game. I was busy giving the cardboard Cummings an eye test.
Although
Not the only celebrity in the crowd.
I was going to say, well, you do see some dodgy folk hanging around in those cardboard cutouts at these stadiums, don't you?
That's true.
Some really dodgy geezers. And the last one on this one, Lee Whitnell says, when the Rabbits broke through and 100-year-old Morris chased him down, you knew it was going to be Roosters' night. Going forward, they seemed quicker and crisper, and they just turned their chances into points. Souths lugging... Oh, God, that's a difficult one to say, Lee. Souths looked sluggish. Mitchell needs to put in a lot more work if he needs to keep the number 1 shirt, and he probably needs it to go from an XL down to an L, I would say. He's carrying a bit of weight.
Yeah, but he did pull off one outstanding piece of defence on Luke Keary, didn't he, in the first half, where he basically prevented him from passing it either way and then tackled him as well. But
yes, it was very good directing of, you know, he limited his choices, didn't he, and then shut him down. So yeah,
we would have been talking about as one of the best pieces of defence of the weekend if then 5 minutes later down the other end, old man Morris didn't do the double tackle, which was an even better piece of tracking back and defending. So yeah, some great moments of defence in this game, as well as some top moments of attack. And actually, yeah, that whole idea that the 6 again would be all for Damien Cook. I mean, only if teams then don't react quickly to the 6 again being called, and you're playing the Roosters, one of the most organised defensive teams you're ever going to experience. And also, let's not forget, a team that aren't afraid of giving away a penalty to slow the other team down. The Roosters, through Robinson's reign, have been very good at that. So yeah. And actually, when you talk about Cook's pace out of dummy half, about the 6 again rule, you kind of forget about, well, we're talking about James Tedesco's pace off the first ball after the ball out of dummy half. And if you've got a clever dummy half who gets the ball out quicker, that's surely more devastating. And it is when it's James Tedesco getting on the end of it. There was a few times watching this game where I just said, wow, with James Tedesco.
He might just be the best player in the world.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Maybe he's doing things that in a Roosters shirt that you saw that he might have a chance when he was at Wests, but yeah, the level of his game has just gone. It's just gone through the roof. It's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, fantastic, and he was great in this game. But he had some help around him. I do think. Friend played well. Keary played well. But Tedesco was the star, without a shadow of a doubt. It was good for the Roosters as well to have cornerback. I think that helped them in defence, especially in the period, because this game did swing, and there was periods where the Roosters had a lot of ball, but there was periods where the Rabbitohs did have quite a bit of sustained pressure, and they did convert it into sort of 2 tries from forwards, but the Roosters' defence was organised, and I think having cornerback was a big part of that.
Yeah, he kind of later in the second half for me, he really kind of he took this game away slightly from the Rabbitohs when he was looking like it might start to slip away. But yeah, no, it was for an 0-2 team, Roosters looked bloody good in this game.
Yeah, they really did. They looked like premiers rather than Spooners, didn't they? They've definitely spent their lockdown well, I would say. And anyone who watches that Tedesco drying isn't just like, wow, this guy is a step above. You know, they don't know what they're watching. Okay, another game I didn't watch, the early game on Saturday. Warriors 18, Dragons 0. James Graham did play for the Dragons, but are the Dragons another team in that conversation for one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the league? What did Tom Andrews have to say?
The answer is yes, but Tom Andrews says 43 complete sets in a row is super impressive, especially after such a long layoff. Seems with this new quick penalty, a team can gas for the rest of the game if their opponents can be gassed for the rest of the game if their opponents get a roll on. Yes,
I'll tell
this
you
game
what.
will probably.
I'll tell you
Go
what
on.
jinxed them for that 44th set. That was when I turned the TV on. Literally, that was all I saw of this game. I saw that them talking about that was the first